Hello and welcome to Devotion to Writing. Glad you're watching. So I got this question in class that I teach online. I got this question the other night. The student asked, they have these other voices that want to come into their writing. When they were writing, they had these other voices that wanted to come in and they didn't know what to do with them. They didn't know if they should allow them to come in. If they had to explain themselves. So the question was, do I have to explain myself to the writer, to the listener, to the audience? Do I have to explain myself? We don't have to explain ourselves as writers. Our job is not to explain. We just have to make the voices known. Our job as writers isn't then so much to explain, and that doesn't mean we should write incomprehensible stories or poems. It just means that we're not obligated to say, this is another voice that's coming in, or, this is from a dream, or, I did this because I was thinking about this. We don't have to do any of these things in our writing. We don't even have to know where the voices are coming from. We don't have to know why. Our job is simply, or one of our jobs, is to just be the voice for what must be voiced. And sometimes, as I was just saying, we don't know what these other voices are that we're hearing. We don't know what they want, and we don't know how to write them. So we have a lot of questions, we have a lot of unknowns, and this is what the writing process, the getting to work on the pages and kind of fleshing that out, when that voice comes in, to listen to it and to write either a response or write what it is saying, to be full of questions. Who are you, voice? What do you want? What do you want me to write, poem? Story, what do you want from me? Why are you here? We have to ask ourselves this. And our obligation then is to find these answers out for ourselves. But we don't have to explain this process to the audience. We can ask, why am I interested in deserts, for example, or in lonely people, or in dystopian futures, or in silence, or trees, or ants? Whatever it is that we might be interested in, and whatever voice might be saying, hey, explore this, check this out. But we don't have to explain ourselves. We write to know. And our audience could even be ourselves, or one other person. Doesn't matter the size of our audience or our readership or whatever, but they don't care. The audience doesn't care in the end. What they long for is the journey and your discoveries. They want to come along on that journey with you. They want to be there on the threshold of your own understanding. And that is what we're obliged to do, not to explain. The Nobel Prize winning novelist Han Kang talked about her own writing process kind of in this way. She recently gave this acceptance speech when she won the Nobel Prize, and she was talking about her writing process, and she said that each time I work on a novel, I endure the questions. I live inside them. And when I reach the end of these questions, which is not the same as when I find answers to them, is when I reach the end of my writing process. When I reach the end of the questions, when I find the answers, when I reach the end, that is when I reach the end of the writing process. So it's like writing through the questions, writing to the ends of all of our questions of these voices. But that is different than having to explain ourselves. We explain ourselves by writing. The need to explain ourselves, I'll say one more thing, that this need we might have to explain ourselves is perhaps a conditioning, a writing conditioning, or something we've been conditioned to in our creative expression. We've been taught that we have to be reasonable, rational. We have to prove our opinions with lots of points, with lots of supporting supporting facts. But writing creatively or creating anything is different because we don't have proof ahead of time necessarily. We are in search of it in our making. We are in search of the answers. We don't have them at hand. We don't have these facts to support our interests. We don't know the answers beforehand to why we are passionate about the desert right now, or ants, or trees, or why we are writing these voices at all. Why this voice came in, we don't know. When I was writing my second collection of poetry, I was writing from so many disparate voices, and I had to accept on blind faith that that these voices wanted to speak through me. And that's what I told this student too, like, just trust whatever it is, follow it. Follow this voice that wants to intrude. It's not an intrusion. It may really be giving you a vital piece of information, a different way that you need to see, that you need to experience, that you need to witness, that you need to feel in order to say what you need to say, in order to say what you're trying to say, and what is still to say what is still unanswered in you, right? So again, my second book, Machine for Remembering, I was writing all of these different voices, through all of these different voices, and it was really quite uncomfortable. But in the end, I realized that all of these different voices had to come in order to tell this more rounded story. So here's a writing prompt for you today. What do you have questions about? And I want you to give that, what do you have questions about? What is unknown to you? And I want you to give that question to a character. Or you could write it through a poem. But if you try it through a character, perhaps you give them a situation to kind of work out the question. But say, for example, you were suddenly find yourself interested in the desert, or you have voices of the desert that you need to speak about, that you want to speak about, that are calling to you, then, allow yourself to explore that. Allow yourself to explore desert environments and plants and weather and sand and ecology, and see where these things take you. So that's the writing prompt I think that would go with this today is, what are your questions? And write through your questions. And you don't have to explain. So that desire, that need to explain again yourself on the page, like, oh, this is a dream I was having, or whatever it is, we don't need to do that necessarily, but we do need to attend to the things that are coming through us. And I think also by explain, maybe this is a bit of a reach, but we don't have to make an excuse or justification for the stories we want to tell, for the voices that we need to speak in order to tell the stories we need to tell, or to write the poems we need to write. We don't need to justify it. So that would be my advice. Write wildly. Write whatever is coming in. Don't edit those. Don't censor those voices, those stories, because you don't know what they are yet, and you don't know where they might lead you. Have courage and follow them, and be brave, and treat them as an adventure. I can discover something new. So, since I'm talking about teaching, maybe I'll mention that I do offer online through Zoom writing classes. They're on Tuesday evenings, though if I get enough interest, because I know there are some people who who are watching from Europe, I may do I live on the East Coast of the United States, so I may do a Sunday, for example, afternoon class online, which those of you who are watching from a different time zones, you might be able to take part in. It would be more convenient time. So you can check out devotiontowriting.com if you are interested in these online courses that I lead. I do these year-round, about 5 or 6 times a year, and they go for about 5 weeks. And they are, like these videos, designed to help you cultivate a daily writing practice and to sustain yourself as a writer. So devotiontowriting.com. Also there you can find out about my in-person workshops and upcoming retreats and writers' residencies. So for example, in October, I am doing a writing retreat in Portugal, if that's something you'd be interested in. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you write deeply today. I know that if you do write, you will write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Blessings.